Hello, how's it going? I'm Bonnie Violet. I'm a trans femme, genderqueer, spiritual drag artist and digital chaplain. And in case you don't know where you are at Drag and Spirituality. This is our gender diverse summer series. We're doing this for 12 weeks. We are on our seventh episode, which is the same as seventh week. See how that works there? Anyway, our guest this evening is Restalynn Pieces from Fort Lauderdale. So I'm excited to bring them on here in a second. But I just wanted to take a moment to thank the Dragon Spirituality Summit, who is our kind of official sponsor of this series. The Dragon Spirituality Summit is taking place October 7th through the 9th in Chicago. You can learn more about it at dragonspirituality.com or check out the links in the description. We are still looking to book some drag performers. So if you're interested in coming and performing, check out the website as well as registration. It is going to be hybrid, meaning you can watch it from afar and participate from afar, but we're really hoping to get as many people there in real life as possible. Somebody's sending some love. We're sending love right back to you. Thanks for your love and for joining us this evening. And the other thing is our guest, as I said, is Restalynn Pieces. I'm going to go ahead and share their socials, Instagram, all that. They're on all the things at Restalynn Pieces, as well as you can send them a tip at Venmo or Cash App or PayPal. PayPal again at Restalynn Pieces. All the links are in the description. If you're listening to us afterwards on a podcast or you're watching us live on YouTube or Twitch or Facebook, we are so glad that you could join us this evening. And I think we're just going to go ahead and get going. So I'm going to bring on Restalynn here.
Hello.
Hello. Hi, how are you?
How are you? I'm good. Just chilling, waiting backstage.
Right. Way backstage, like states away from me.
Absolutely. Thousands of miles away.
I know, right? Thousands upon thousands. How are you doing this evening?
Oh, I'm doing really well. Just got off of work, put on the quick drag and everything, So this is just a little quick beat. Went for the more, kind of like Cruella de Vil, just going to bed. This is just
Right. Getting ready for some Netflix and chill, maybe.
Or definitely Netflix and chill. Netflix and thrills.
And thrills, right? Nice. So do you want to tell us a little bit about you?
So my name is Restalynn Pieces. I've been doing drag since about freshman year of high school. I was first inspired to do drag seeing RuPaul's Drag Race since like the first season, and I was instantly inspired. I'm like, wow, there's something here for me. There's something that can bring all my loves together into one big conglomeration. So yes, and I also went to art school. I'm a licensed cosmetologist, and I'm also a wig maker as well.
All the great things to make a wonderful drag artist.
Absolutely, sugar, spice, and everything nice.
Right. Well, and I always love to start with around this same question. I'm kind of curious to know what were you taught or what did you understand about spirituality as a young person?
All right. So my upbringing, my family is they're immigrants. They come from Colombia, from Bogota, and we moved to South Florida in like the 50s. And my grandparents came here first, and they brought my mother and my aunt with them to South Florida, and they were brought up with very strict Catholic beliefs from Latin America. So it's definitely, the saints, Santa Muerte, like Mary Magdalene. We had to worship all these gods and everything, and it was just pretty hard. I mean, I went to Catholic school as well, so I was definitely taught like the more traditional way of religion, where it's Jesus up above, watching over us, watching over you.
Right. There's a few folks. Red is saying hello from Georgia, who was
Hello,
previously.
Red. Oh, Georgia. I love Georgia. I'm a
Yes.
big fan. I used to frequent Savannah. My favorite
That's they are not too far outside of Savannah. They perform in Savannah a lot.
There is this one bar that's in Savannah that I went to, but I remember seeing this poster that said 2 tears in a bucket, motherfuck it.
Right.
Iconic. Rest in peace to her.
Right. So good. And then Veronica Electronica, who will be on the show in a couple of weeks. She's in Nashville.
Hello, Lovey, Veronica. Oh yeah, I love their picture too. They were sickening.
Right? And how did you like being brought up in that religion in that way as a young person or
Absolutely not. No.
no?
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
So basically, I was. It was very strict. It was very I remember as a young child, I would run around the house with like a blanket over my head and, kind of just feel the fantasy like, wow, like,
Hmm.
run around like half naked. I would sneak into my mom's room, try on her heels and everything. So I was very in touch with my feminine side, but I would have, the strict upbringing of my Catholic grandparents that would, why are you running around with the towel on your head? Don't none of this, and they would slap my wrists, and
Hmm.
it was very an oppressive feeling. So I never really got a positive vibe from the religion that it taught me, especially going to like the Catholic schools and them telling you like, oh, you can't do that, you can't walk like that, you can't hang out with the girls, you can't do what you want to do, you have to be in this one box of what a man should be. So
Hmm.
yeah, it was just very hard. I'm sure it caused a lot of trauma.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna, so were you into spirituality or anything like that at all in other ways, or did you just kind of like, I mean, how did you, I guess, deal with that?
I was definitely more into, I guess, I didn't believe necessarily in, the physical form of, the Christian Jesus. I definitely thought of religion more as like there's this big energy out into the universe and we could all kind of connect with our subconscious and kind of touch that human conscience, the world conscience, basically. So that was more of my, I guess, way that I would wrap my beliefs around is basically just a big energy, and especially when it comes to drag too, I basically I kind of zen out and go into like a meditative state backstage. So a lot of times I'm not really talking to anyone, I'm more of just like getting into the lyrics, what is the vibe of the song, what is this emotion, and like how can I connect a personal moment in my life and kind of tell my story through the music, basically. So
Hmm.
basically connecting to the higher feminine and just letting that inspire me and just setting myself free from this confine of like what a dancer should be, what a drag queen should look like, what's this.
Right,
um
right.
yeah.
So it sounded like you had some sense of spirituality before you started drag.
Hmm.
And it seems like you're able to integrate them. Were you always able to integrate them, or was that a process for you?
It definitely was a process for me. It took a lot of self-love, inner reflection, especially as a young child too, because I remember moments in like, I guess it was like elementary school, when I would like bring a Bible when I was, semi into
Hmm.
the Bible, and I would have people, steal that Bible, throw it away, Um, so I definitely wanted like a sort of guide for me, and that was definitely a way that I could track myself through life. And what was the question? Girl, I lost my train of thought. What was the question again?
It's just a question that you were kind of talking a little bit about maybe how difficult it might have been to integrate your spirituality and your drag
Oh
in
yeah,
that
so
setting.
it really wasn't until I came up, at least in the drag sense, I was brought up in the traditional drag scene. I was daughter of Porcelain St. Clair from the St. Clair House of DC.
Hmm.
And I really hated religion at that point, and it wasn't until I was getting into drag that I was what's it called? Found a place for myself with that. So then that's when I started like saying like I could actually bring these two together and become something.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
Hmm. So it was really your drag that almost sounds like your drag actually helped you maybe connect better with spirituality or
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, 1,000%. It really brought me in touch with me, who I am inside, and basically like my inner concept of who I am. So
hmm
like how a lot of times people will ask, "What do you think of me? What is this?" Because we get a lot of our validation from other people. So it was basically trying to find that validation within myself that I'm not really like that. I'm more like this way. So that's when I was brought up more the traditional pageants way, I realized
hmm
I'm like, this isn't me. I'm literally putting myself. in the pursuit of becoming more open-minded, I'm still closing myself off within this community. So I have to keep opening myself, like, who am I? What is drag? And it wasn't until like shows like Dragula came out, and I'm like, wow, this subsect is really like focused on me, like with the horror love, the drag, the performance, and just the extremeness of it all. I just absolutely was enthralled.
Yeah, well, and I think it's kind of interesting because I think some people have a hard time thinking that drag artists can have spirituality, but then I think there's also maybe another layer of being more of like, like loving horror and
Yeah.
that sort of thing, and also having spirituality and also doing drag.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And especially like horror really brought out like my queerness, especially because I remember that was some of the best moments I ever had with my dad was going through his movie collection, and it was like, oh, I swear to God, a whole wall of every horror movie you could think of. There was Carrie, Dawn of the Dead, everything, and that was basically how my peaceful moments of my childhood were, was like spending time with my father and like watching those movies and like taking that time and feeling that like intimacy that I have with like my parents. And that basically, like, when I started doing drag, it basically kind of reconnected me back to that like childhood of like, wow, this, I forgot how much I enjoy this. And I'm so caught up with trying to like survive and like pay rent, my health, and like everything, that I just forget like my likes and my wants and everything. And I just have to remember to focus on that. And I also realized that myself, that I am a god, unless in not in that narcissistic term or in the sense that, oh yeah, I'm a god, like, ooh, but
Right.
I carry a little bit of that universal energy within me, and I could always reconnect myself back to that if I just put myself in that mindset, which is what drag does for me. It puts me in that mindset to touch that like divine feminine and like really express who I am.
Yeah. I think it can be really difficult when we like grow up, like sometimes, especially if our childhood doesn't quite align right with where we're going, it can be very easy just to sever ourselves from everything and almost kind of say like it was all bad. It sounded like drag
Absolutely.
actually allowed you to bring in some of that good stuff.
Absolutely. Like some of my fondest memories, especially like before like drag became this mainstream concept, I was like going into school wearing lipstick, wearing heelless heels, glasses, wigs, the full-on makeup, going in like Frankenfurter style costumes to school. And that was the one time where it's like people are actually noticing me, people are actually asking how I'm feeling. Like it was almost like a way of just like reaching out and connecting to people. You know what I'm saying? Because that was I went to an art school. I mean,
Yeah.
everyone loves a good clown.
Yeah. No, I definitely like agree. I think I'm more of a introverted, kind of a quiet person for the most part. Like I'm a cute little wallflower, but I think there's something about drag that in some ways it draws people to me in a way that I'm often not able to like, you know, go to them, right? Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Oh, absolutely. Because you know what? I also I only ever spoke Spanish when I was younger too. So most of my concept of like, American life and like the English language was, coming from movies and like, kind of modeling my life over scenes and everything. And it's just drag was a way that I could connect without having like language and voice using. It's more just like, using your body as communication.
Right.
It was definitely the way that I could, if I was feeling upset, if I was feeling, happy, I could always express that through dance, especially in art school. Like that was our homework.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much that can be said, beyond words. I think
Mhm.
sometimes words aren't enough anyway, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It sounds like maybe, and I'm just assuming, but was Restalynn Pieces your first drag name?
Okay, so that is a whole story. So we could start off at the beginning when I first started drag. So I already mentioned how I started drag. I instantly was into it when I saw RuPaul's Drag Race, and then when I went to art school, I did makeup. I worked in a haunted house at 15, so that's when I started doing the prosthetics, horror makeup, and everything. That's where I kind of refined my love for it, and then what's it called? And then I went through graduated high school, went through a breakup and it was completely terrible. I go to DC and I'm at a bar like by myself, just like crying as usual, because that was my early 20s, was crying at a bar by myself.
Right.
And I go there and I meet it was Dolly fucking Parton walks up to me, I kid you not. And I just turned 21 and basically didn't know what direction I had in life, because literally nobody in my school actually cared enough to like actually figure out what school I was going to, what college, what kind of guidance counselor was going to help me, none of that. So no direction, no life, didn't know what I wanted to do or anything, didn't have a concept of business, making money or whatever. She walks up to me and she's like, "Why are you crying?" And then I was just told her what happened, and she basically bought drinks for me. And then a lot of people bought drinks. We did a karaoke night. I sang, and she basically I blacked out and then was at her apartment in DC. And this is Porcelain St. Clair. I love you, Mom. FYI, she's watching. But I wake up in a bathroom, go out to the balcony, and they're out there smoking a cigarette. And they're basically like, "Oh, honey, you're in the house. Like, there's no point. Like, you're hilarious. You're beautiful. You're this and that." And then she put me out in drag again. And she used all of her old drag makeup and her drag wigs and everything like that. And before then, I knew I wanted to do drag, but I never had the confidence to do it because I was always thinking that, oh, I don't know that much. I don't know what to do. Where would I even start? And it wasn't until she was beating me in that bathroom, beating my face, that I realized, I'm like, I could do this. This is accessible to me. I could actually express myself in a way, and it doesn't have to be professional or whatever people's concept is of what professional drag is. There's no such thing. If you get paid, you go to a bar or whatever and you get paid to do drag, you professional.
Right.
But anyways, she takes me out, and I swear to God, if you look far enough into my Instagram, my first moment in drag, I looked like Miss Swan from Mad TV.
It's a look.
And I met Tatiana that night, and she was this uber sweetest girl. She bought me a drink. She took me under her wing and like completely opened my eyes to like how kind people are in the drag community. And so I was graced with the name Grace St. Clair from my mom, because she had a bunch of other drag children before then, and they all do impersonations, because that's where the money's at in DC. Is if you impersonate a celebrity, you're gold. Gotcha. So she basically, I came up as G in her name, and she's like, "You're Gracie. You're Gracie." She had a little Southern accent, and she told me I was Grace St. Clair. And then I love that name. I was like, wow, I actually have a drive and a focus, and like someone actually gave me the confidence. Someone saw me, because at that point I felt I wasn't seen, I wasn't cared for, nobody loved me. Like I had no support from my family. I was like, it was crazy. So what's it called? So she named me that, and then fast forward like 2 or 3 years, I'm doing more professional gigs, and I went through a traumatic experience with an ex-boyfriend of mine, and I was basically it was an essay. I can't really say it any other way without triggering people, but it really took the direction for me. Like I lost my path at that point. I was depressed. I was sad. And this is right when the pandemic hit in 2019. So I had all my friends that were his friends as well completely block me off. They said I was being aggressive, that I'm this and that. And it was like a story after another. And at that point, I was all by myself once again, thinking that I had a direction and that I had something good going for me, building, a community and having a queer community. And that same queer community just like kicked me out. And all because I spoke up against my abuser and what he did to me. And then the aftermath of it was they basically like ousted me. They like told all these promoters that I was a piece of shit, that I was transphobic, this and that. And it was just all these lies. And he basically controlled this like awful narrative of me. And I didn't want to be Grace St. Clair. I didn't want to be tied to him. I didn't want to be tied to anybody else. And I was like, you know what? Grace St. Clair, as much as I loved her and she was a part of my identity, like she wasn't really the true me. So I went into that meditative state again. And I really quit. I really stopped doing drag for a year to 2 years during the pandemic because of that depression. And like I couldn't connect back to my spiritual place, my happy place, because every time I would put on drag, I would think of my abuser because that was what he was connected to. So I was every time I would get in drag, it was like instant flashback, and I couldn't handle that. I would shake. I would go out to events and I would see him there, and he would intimidate me with his friends, and I just couldn't go back to my happy place anymore.
Right.
It was ruined for me. And I remember I was crying again on a couch in DC, and I was watching the Wendy Williams show. I forgot what episode. I think it was Omarosa in it, and then it was also the American Horror Story 1985. And I was playing those back to back together in my like crying state. And I remember hearing the word Restalynn from this Wendy Williams video, like, you need a little Restalynn here or something. I'm like, Restalynn. And then when I went back to the American Horror Story episode, I saw Rest in Pieces. And then it just, I had a click in my head. I was like, wow, I'm like, rest in pieces. Like, that's what I have to do is like, it was like a sign from the higher energy. Like, what I have to do is I have to go back to my meditative state. And I envisioned myself burying my old drag persona and like burying her away. Like, she needs to go. Like, this is, you have to put all your weight, you have to put all your sadness, depression, everything, and you have to cut this negative part out of your life now and like really become who you are. And it wasn't until I like garnered the name Restalynn Pieces that I'm like, this is the true me. This is like a badass fucking warrior that fucking like traverses through any obstacle, any person in her way. Like, she will get what she wants. And it was a lot of my persona was inspired by the 70s grindhouse films like I Spit on Your Grave, I Spit on Your Grave 2, like almost that kind of way, because I kind of found inspiration and strength in those stories. Like, yes, they are very violent and aggressive, and they also feature SA in that movies as well. But I saw myself in that character, and I'm like, wow, she's like taking control of her fucking life, and she is taking her revenge, and she's just fucking like a full beast. And I'm like, that's who I am. That's who I need to become in order to get out of this. And like literally, I can go back to my happy place. I can literally, I feel more like at peace with myself. And I feel more connected with my childhood me, which is that love of horror, that love of being gay, the feelings of being a weirdo, and like bringing them back out and like reclaiming those and like finding strength in that. So that was basically how I came up with like Restalynn Pieces and that name. And honestly, like every time I feel sad, I always think, I'm like, you've been through worse. Anything that a queer gay person has gone through, like I've been through, like getting kicked out from with my parents, like not having financial stability, and really just people just kicking me aside and like not really caring about me. And I had to literally care about myself and find strength in this drag character to like progress and reach my actualization, basically.
Right. Do you still have, so it sounds like you had to have Grace rest in peace, so to speak.
Absolutely. May she forever rest in peace.
Yeah. And so do you still have a relationship with Grace in any ways, or is that just?
Sometimes if I ever have to get into like the pageant mode, or if I'm at like a super professional gig, I'll like get into that Grace mode. But she's definitely like a past version of me.
Got you.
Definitely.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean, represented like the sweeter side and like the more naive young version of me, you know?
Yeah. Wow. I mean, your story and what you just shared with us is just so like powerful and really clear to see how drag can, like, one, it gave you great life in the beginning as Grace, and like that whole experience, and then how it also even helped you kind of like reimagine and kind of recreate yourself in a whole other way too.
It's almost like how like singers have to go through different eras in order to like, they have to put that one to rest in order to move on to the next one. You know what I'm saying? It's just, we all have to, and it's almost like maturing and growing up. You have to put aside your childish reasonings and your childhood stuff and kind of just kill that, let it rest in peace, and then just like move on to like who you want to be and who you want to become.
Yeah. Wow, that's just really powerful. I one of my first drag names was actually Grace too, and
Oh my
I
God,
had
no,
to,
really? Oh,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
so
it
cute
was
though.
yeah,
That's
it was.
wait, what was your full name?
So my drag name was Grace, but it was spelled 333, which is the symbol for
Ooh,
grace for me. But
okay.
nobody fucking got it. So they were like, nobody understood that it was pronounced Grace or whatever. And so eventually I
Oh,
just,
I
right?
guess you got it. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. So I just changed it to Bonnie Violet, and then when I'm in drag, like it's spelled with three threes in it. So all
Mhm.
the E's are threes. And so that's how I kept Grace within Bonnie Violet. And Grace was a spiritual principle in my life too. So I think that was also why I kind of had chosen it.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And it sounds like your drag mother was with you through that whole process. And I
You know what? She was actually a huge anchor and a support for me. Like when my friend group left me, I mean, it was literally I felt like I had nobody. Those are the people that I would hang out with every day. I built not a charity, what is it, a nonprofit with them. I would help them get gigs. I would literally put my blood, sweat, and tears. Like I've literally over I put myself on the back burner, whether it be like a job or like my personal health or like finances and everything, just to like help these people move forward. And then to have like a vulnerable moment and to literally confide in these people and be like, hey, like I need help. Like
right.
this person really hurt me. Like your friend really affected me in some type of way. And it's like trauma. And like I could have gone to the police and everything, but because I went to you guys and confided to you guys, you took away the opportunity for me.
Mm,
So it was basically, it felt like such a stab in the heart. So
yeah.
I really needed a support system at that point. So I really confided back into my drag mother, who moved down to South Florida at that point too. So I would go to her house and we would, I'd cut her hair. We'd, watch Bette Midler movies and literally just, she was, they were the parents that I
Mm,
really like wanted to have. They were
yeah.
emotionally there. They were emotionally present, and they actually like asked how I was doing, asked like what
Hmm.
my plans are and everything. And that's exactly what I love about queer community is you find those parental figures in the community. And
Yeah.
if your mom don't give it to you, you have your best doll right next to you, like helping you out. Like, hey, do you need me to help you pay for Wi-Fi? Do you want to go out and get a drink with me? And I
Right,
really
right.
needed that support system. And Porcelain was like a rock for me.
Yeah.
I,
What a
I really
gift.
truly appreciate everything like she's ever done for me, like believing in me and seeing like me when nobody could see me,
Yeah,
and I couldn't
yeah.
be who I am without them.
Yeah. Wow. What a beautiful gift. And I think it's very fitting that it came in the form of the Dolly Parton
Dolly,
exterior,
literally,
right?
and she's a good Dolly Parton. If you go on her Instagram, I mean, she quit drag, sadly,
Mm,
um, because she wants to move on to bigger and better things. But her Dolly impersonation was like shocking. She did Liza too real well,
oh
but
yeah.
she was definitely a mother figure and a huge inspiration of like the impact that I want to do on the community as well. Like I'm not a mother yet. I
Mm,
have a drag daughter right now, but I feel like to take on the role of like a drag mother, you have to give them gigs, you have to teach them how to do makeup, hair, wigs, and this and that. You have to be an emotional support. And I just want to be everything that my drag mother taught me and pass that
mm.
on to the younger generation as well.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm sure you are going to be amazing at it.
Mhm.
Like I
Thank
believe
you.
we
That really does mean a lot to me though, for real.
yeah, I mean I feel like we cannot transmit something we haven't got, and you were
Mhm.
modeled by your drag mom in such a beautiful way. How could you not be a
Exactly.
great parent?
And I
That's
think we also need more like people like that in our community, like really like those are the type of people we need to put up on pedestals, like people that actually
mm,
help the younger community. Like it's none of these like these bullshit drag queens that are out here like, yes, I do a lot for the community, this and that, and then don't really do anything. They don't help people,
right.
they don't actually like do anything. They just say it for the clout. And I'm not
Hmm.
about that. I love to see queer community practice well.
Yeah, totally. So what is your spiritual life like now? What does that look like, or how would you talk about it?
So my spiritual life now, it's still really the same. Um, I really only ever, so let me rethink this. So basically, I like to believe in spirituality as, the higher energies and this and that. And the only way that I can really go to those higher energies is by, practicing self-love, practicing self-care. And really makeup and wigs really help me get into that mode. Like, this is all for me to look good. And then once I'm actually out in drag, I feel like untouchable. I feel like I'm really am a god, basically. And basically that helps you with your self-confidence. And the way that I practice it now is doing my makeup, doing my wigs, just making sure that I'm also, what's it called, practicing kindness with other people, like showing them, this is what you have to do with the business, this is what you have to do with your makeup, this is what you have to do. And that's also kind of just sharing my knowledge with the younger generation as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, what's your drag life look like now? Like, where does it take place, I guess? Tell me a little bit
So
about it.
my drag life right now, so what do you mean, like what am I doing with my drag at the
Yeah,
moment?
yeah, like what are you doing with your drag? Yeah. I probably
So
could have worded that different.
oh, no, girl, it's fine,
All right.
semantics. So I used to do a lot of bar gigs. I used to be that queen that, splits in the gags and the turns and the dips and the twists, breaking my knees. And I was just like, for what, $50 for a gig? No.
Mm,
So I when I started doing the nonprofit work, I realized that, doing drag events, this is accessible as hell. You
yeah.
could basically, so what I've been doing recently is I've been just throwing my own parties, because a lot of the parties in like Miami or Palm Beach or Fort Lauderdale, they're all not really geared towards the queer community. And
Mm,
even with the ones that are queer down here, they aren't really safe spaces. It's just filled with like really like vengeful people. So I was like, let me just create my own space, and basically where I can have full creative control. I could literally book whoever I want. I could put my own lighting up. I could set up my own curtain and everything, and make money off of that. So I've been doing a lot of, those kinds of parties. I've been doing a lot of private events. I did gender reveals recently, bachelorette parties, fetish events as well. And but really I found my passion doing event planning, basically. So
mm-hmm.
I'm in the works right now of doing a Halloween show at the moment. It's going to be a Rob Zombie themed tribute show called House of a Thousand Corsets. And it's going to be punk rock as fuck. I'm going to have my friends from my art school that have bands that have their own small businesses, and just have them perform there and just build a community around my friends, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel
Yeah.
like anybody could do that anywhere. If you're like in the middle of Ohio, if you're in the middle of Virginia and there's nowhere to do, if there's nothing to do over there, make your own event. Like,
Yeah.
go to a hotel, rent out that ballroom, go do it at your house. Have a house
Mm-hmm.
party, charge people at the door, save that coin up, and then have that for the next party, and then build it bigger and bigger and bigger. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Like make your own resources, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And just like, if there isn't a space for you, fucking make your own space. Like, if there's a straight bar, like, reclaim that space and say, I want to have a fucking show here. I want to do my drag here. Let me entertain the straights for a little day. Come on.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah. No, I feel you. I think sometimes I wonder what keeps us from like doing things like that, right?
It's really just, I feel, especially me looking back on who I was in the past, I realized that a lot of that was just self-doubt. And it was just, like I said, like, I never thought drag was accessible, because I didn't
Mm,
know how to do it at first. And it was really just my drag family, YouTube, my beauty school, and just like my drive to be the best that I could be, to make me who I am now. Girl, I lost my train of thought again, mama.
you
The
you made
mind,
sense.
my mind is a minute noodle,
Right.
and it flips and flops whichever way possible. What was the question again, darling? What was your
You
question? Because I want to bring it back to the point.
Well, I had just kind of made a comment that yes, what keeps us from just doing the things, like what keeps us
Right,
from creating the spaces that we
right.
need to be in, you know? And
And like I said, it is definitely a self-doubt. And what people can do to get over that self-doubt is, if you think you look bad, like lean into that, or
mm,
like just express yourself in your most honest and true way, and you will build a community around that. Like
right.
there are people out there that'll see you and that will be inspired. You just being yourself will inspire people to be themselves.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I would wholeheartedly agree with that. This series, it's called Gender Diverse. So I did also want to kind of touch in about your gender story. How does gender impact your life?
So I consider myself as non-binary, mostly for the fact that I consider non-binary like a sacred space that, some people don't want to fully transition. Some people don't want to take moans. And, we have to respect those decisions because, these people did their research. Some people don't want to be medical patients for the rest of their lives. So some people choose not to go on hormones, and that
Hmm.
should be respected. And I basically, once I knew I wasn't a dude, but I knew I was more like a lady, but not really a lady. So I knew it was back in the times where there wasn't a term for it, at least as far as I knew at that point. And it wasn't until the conversation nowadays started leaning more towards non-binary that I looked at it and I went, wow, this is exactly who I am. Like, I don't consider myself fully a boy, and I don't consider myself fully a girl. I have moments of gender dysphoria as well, and I would prefer to have some surgeries in order to correct those little things to help
Mm,
me live a more productive and happier life. So sometimes I like to dress in dresses, and then sometimes I like to grow out my beard, because I feel like I don't have to owe anybody androgyny when it comes. Because a
mm-hmm.
lot of times when people think of trans or like non-binary, they still think in those, confined boxes that, oh yeah, you want to be a boy, so you have to dress masculine, or you want to be a girl, so you have to dress feminine. When that's completely not the case. You could literally do whatever you want. You could dress up however you want.
Yeah, there was a question from the audience. They said, "Does one persona predominate more than the other, would you say?"
That is a great question, Mr. LinkedIn user. So definitely one persona comes out more. It really just depends on my headspace at the times. Definitely, my masculine persona comes out more in my everyday life because it's easier to present that way sometimes. But then a lot of the times, I want what's the word? How can I put that? I basically find myself being taken over by the Restalynn persona,
Mm,
basically. And then that's when I feel, a little manic sometimes, a little bit, wild girl. And I want to just dress appropriately. And if I don't dress appropriately, it really does make me feel like anxious and scared in a way. So I feel like I have a safe place and a safe space within me to dress up feminine. And that helps
mm.
me stay calm and like collected and cool.
Right. So inside your drag, but as well as outside of your drag, or
Mm-hmm. Oh,
okay.
definitely in and out of drag as well. I could, so she'll pop up every now and again. She's basically like my id, or like the
Mm,
ego inside me, and she definitely pops up when I have to stand up for myself, because a lot of the times my masculine side of me is very introverted and very quiet and calm, and then sometimes when I go through a microaggression, or if someone's being violent towards me, or if someone is complimenting me or something, she definitely comes out, and she's definitely the protector of like my general well-being.
mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, we are about 5 minutes till we're done.
Oh,
So I want
5 minutes. Oh,
I know,
that's fine.
right? It does. It goes by real quick. Was there
Mhm.
anything that you wanted to touch on that we haven't touched on yet?
um you know I definitely want to touch on, I guess, a lot of like the in community fighting that I've been seeing a lot recently, especially the past 4 years. And I feel like as a community, we have to really practice what's that word? Radical kindness. We'll use the
Mhm.
word radical kindness because that's the word that's
Yeah.
sticking out the most. But we definitely have to look at non-binary people. We have to look at our trans brothers and sisters. We have to look at our gay brothers and sisters, our lesbian brothers and sisters, and we have to communicate more. We can't just sit here and demonize each other for things like that, because in the end of the day, we're all fighting the same fight. And I would like for us to progress forward and actually have respect for trans individuals and non-binary individuals as well. Because especially with the trans community, I've been seeing a lot of fighting with binary trans people and non-binary trans people, and cis folks as well, and gay folks as well. And it's really sad. It's not like the community that I used to see back when I was younger, and I want to, and because of that, in community fighting, we're seeing a lot of like radicalization from the far right, and it's a very scary thing. Like, we just went through what's it called? Florida we lost Medicaid and Medicare for trans folks and trans individuals. And it's honestly like, because of the infighting that the straight people see within our community, we can't even like bring our ideas and come together and move forward, because we're still fighting over each other. We need to fight over the bigger things. We have to do more fight at the local level, and talk to your politicians. Let them know what non-binary people are. Try and get them to look at you as a human being. You know what I mean? Like, we are humans. All we want is to be loved and to be respected. And straight people feel the same way. They just want to be loved and respected too. And especially when it comes to the conversation with drag time story hour that I saw at our house brunch and everything. And I think that's disgusting. It's really is disgusting that people are demonizing us like this. It gives me the gay satanic panic of the modern days.
Yeah,
and,
no, totally.
Yeah. And I really want Gen Z to stop being so aggressive and stop, eating our young. And I want them to be more educated. I want them to educate the cis heteronormative community, because these are the people that are in office. These are the people that are controlling our lives. And the rhetoric from the last couple of years has been, straight white man this, and fuck cis people this, and fuck heteronormativity. And now they're seeing that, and they're like, you know what? Fuck gay people. We're going to take your rights back. Right. And like, we really have to have a conversation and literally talk through our differences, because at the end of the day, like, I don't necessarily agree with what's it called? Their perspective, but I agree that they still love and just want to protect their children. You know what I mean? Like, they just don't want people like pedophiles and groomers. And I totally get that. And I respect their opinion, because at the end of the day, if I had a child, I would want to protect them every which way possible. Right. And so basically, we just have to have the conversations with them.
Yeah, I think
that's the only way that we can productively move forward, because right now we are in the age of the overcorrection, the backlash, the Twitter beef this and the Twitter beef that, and it's becoming very Fahrenheit 451, George Orwell, very Orwellian, and a lot of it's coming from the radical right and the radical left as well, and we have to find some common ground somewhere. We can't keep fighting. I'm tired of it. It's taking the fun out of drag. It's taking the fun out of the queer community. I'm seeing a lot of our queer brothers and sisters being radicalized, and they're turning to the right. And I would have never thought of that. But when you see all the hate and the vitriol, and also the effects of what it's doing to straight men out there, there's more shootings out there, because not a lot of straight men are actually talking through their feelings. There's no safe space for actual straight men to go and express their feelings in a productive and what's it called? Emotionally productive way, and now they're starting to shoot up schools and everything like that. How can we help that? I just really want peace. I really do. And I feel like we have to come and hit it more through an angle of kindness.
Yeah, and just listening, right? Just actually listening.
Active listening is the best thing we could do to our queer community, to America in general.
As Charlie said, I totally agree. Stop fighting. Cheryl says, need more love and less hate.
Love y'all.
And Telly says, we are all just trying to live our lives. to their fullest. Agreed 100,000%. Stop the
Absolutely.
fight.
Respect
Yeah.
each other. If we're not hurting, if you're not harming or doing anything negative to another person, like let them be. Like
Yeah.
if the straight people want to have their opinion, if the far right wants to have their opinion about them, let them have that opinion. But let's try and attack that in a more loving and kindful way. Like those are the people we need to convince.
Yeah. I think it's challenging because I think a lot of people are hurting. And I know for me, it's so hard for me to notice somebody else is hurting when I'm stuck in my own pain. You know what I mean? And so it's like
Absolutely.
I really have to work on my healing so that I can show up. But they can be done at the same time. Like I don't have to be fully healed to give a shit about you, right? Like I can do both things at the same time.
Really.
Yes, yes. Thank you so, so much for being on the episode with us. Earlier, Telly had said, you two are so beautiful. I love that you can just be yourself. It's so
Love you, Telly. Thank
inspiring.
you so much.
Chantel says, looking gorgeous in
Mm-hmm.
Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie also says, so beautiful in Arizona. Thanks everyone who joined us this evening and participated in the conversation, whether watching us live or you're listening to it afterwards. Join us next week as we do our 8th episode of the series, where we'll be meeting with a baby drag queen, as they refer to themselves.
Ah, fetus.
Yes, so come check us out next week, same time, same place, same bat channel, as some folks say. And feel free to check out the Dragon Spirituality Summit. Again, we're hoping to register people now, and we're still looking to book some performers. It is a paid gig, so do check it out at dragonspirituality.com. Thanks everyone so very much. And yeah, I think, do you want to say goodbye?
I would just like to say thank you so much for letting me vent and being vulnerable with the whole audience. And I would basically like to let everyone know that I'm sell merch. And if you guys ever need anything from me, any advice or any questions, comments, concerns, or if you want to tip me, I have all my information at the bottom. And with that, I would like to say thank you all for listening and having this productive conversation. And I hope that we could all move on and love each other a little more.
Awesome. Great. Thanks so much. Have a good night,
We'll see
everyone.
you later.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Bye-bye.